I have been in the United States for 24 years. I was adopted and raised here. And back in March, I had the privilege of being able to visit my home country. I had already decided I wanted to go on this trip. I wanted to reconnect with my culture and my land. I wanted to better understand its history as well as its present. And just that happened. But something else even better happened. I reconnected with my birth family. This was my trip to Vietnam.
Saturday, March 8th. It is a lovely day in Hanoi, Vietnam. After a long day of traveling, I guess 2 days of traveling, I finally made it. The trip wasn't too bad. The meals were great on Korean Airlines. I slept most of the way. But yeah, here I am. I just finished going through the Chi Minh Musuem as well as the Imperial Citadel. The Chi Minh Museum was really cool. There's a lot of stuff like I didn't know at all, but it's also just like really cool, like hearing the story about him and his life. The Imperial Citadel was like an archaeological site of thousands of years ago, so that was really cool. But yeah, I'm gonna roll some B-roll of that, and I'm gonna be getting some lunch. After I talked to you all, I went to go eat at a place called Loving Hut, and it was like a vegan restaurant, like snugged away also in like this alley. I had, I don't even remember what dish it was exactly, but it was like noodles and like some vegan meat, and I could not believe it because the meat looked so meaty, but it was vegan, which I thought was crazy, but it was a lot of food. And I got like a coffee and also like a passion fruit drink, and it was very filling and it was very good. The next thing on my list was a place called Bookworm Hanoi, and it was just like a bookstore. It was very cute. I liked it. Also kind of snugged away. There's a lot of things like snugged away in alleys. The city is a maze, but yeah, it was very cute. And around that same area, I was planning to go to look around a place called Totem Vinyl, and could not find it. Don't think it exists anymore, but that's okay. There's other record stores I know exist that I will be visiting down in Saigon, so that's not a big deal, but music was like a big thing that I wanted to look for here, because it costs a lot of money to like import it into America. So yeah. Next up after that was the Vietnamese Museum of Fine Arts, and that was so cool. I have such an appreciation for like obviously Vietnamese culture, but I read an essay like years ago about Vietnamese like art and like its development over its different decades, and how like different eras like necessitated certain types of art. And I just like there was a lot of art that I have never seen, even after having looked into it myself like beforehand, and it was so gorgeous and so moving, and it made me appreciate like Vietnamese culture like even more, and some of those pieces I want tattooed onto my body, man. So gorgeous. So at that point I was pretty ahead of my schedule, which was a good thing. So I ended up stopping by this little place called Tranquil Books and Coffee, and it seemed like a place where people seemed to like like to study and just like kind of hang out. It was pretty packing, but it had like some like jazz music playing. It was very cute, very tranquil. I had like this ginger dragon plum like hot drink, and it was really good. That's another thing. I knew that I was going to be drinking coffee and being like visiting cafes when I came here, but I'm very satisfied with my cafe experience so far, which I'll get to in a moment because this is another cafe. After that, I went through the Temple of Literature, which is like this historical educational center in Vietnam. It's been around since like the 15th century, I believe, probably before that. I don't remember exactly. Shows you how much I learned at the fucking museum. But I got a print there, so that's fun. I got to do it myself. After that, like I said, I was still pretty ahead of schedule, and that didn't take as long as I thought it would. So I ended up kind of wandering around like different stores, and then I made my next stop at dinner, which was going to be a place called like Sadhu, like vegetarian restaurant. But as I was walking, I saw this like other vegan restaurant that looked really good, and what caught my eye is they said they had like a vegan hamburger, which like I didn't want to eat the hamburger because like I'm in Vietnam, why am I going to eat American food, you know? But I got a dish called bánh chay Hanoi, and it was like their special like family recipe for it, and it was really, really good. I also had a pineapple smoothie with it, and I think it had real milk in it. It said it was vegan/vegetarian. Those words are kind of interchangeable in Vietnam, and I probably should have known that because there was like a steamed bun filled with cheese, and I asked them like, is it vegan cheese? And they were like, no, it's real. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's not vegan. But that's okay. That's fine. Now I'm here, again, still way ahead of schedule, like an hour and a half ahead of schedule. I am now at Hanoi Train Street, which is like sort of like this very touristy district street, you might say, where a train passes through. And it's funny because actually as I was walking here, the train passed through, and I was hoping maybe I would actually get to catch it like while I was in Train Street. But alas, here I am at this coffee shop called Gia Dong Duong. I got this, another ginger thing. It's a ginger soy coffee, and it's really good. I've been sipping on it because it's very hot. Oh yeah, when I was waiting for my Grab taxi from lunch to the Vietnamese art museum, I got a matcha latte from like this other street place. Oh my god, it's the best matcha latte I've ever had. They used like, I watched them make real matcha where they do the little swish thing, you know? And yeah, really, really good. I think my cafe experience has been pretty good. There's one more activity that I'm going to do today. It's called the Hanoi Social Club, and it's like a little bar, and they have live music. I'm gonna check that out, but for now, I'm gonna hang out here. I'll see you guys later at Hanoi Social Club. to go to the Hanoi Social Club. Well, I was allowed to go, but they didn't have live music tonight. But instead, the thing I had planned for tomorrow night, which was the Bin Min Jazz Club, I decided to go to tonight instead. So I'm gonna look at my itinerary and look at other things that I had planned or thought about doing and seeing if there's anything like kind of similar that I can do tomorrow night in place of that. But the jazz club is super cool. The cool thing about it is that it was started by Nguyen Van Minh, who is a jazz musician in Vietnam, and is primarily a saxophonist, I believe. And anyways, he started it just as a place to play. Apparently, I think sometimes he plays there, but it's primarily used to also showcase his students. And so he has his students play at the jazz club, and that's what I saw tonight. So that was really, really cool. It was really cool to experience like the music scene, and that was like the big thing like I wanted to go to see at the Hanoi Social Club is that they host like just, I think it's like open mics sometimes, and I think that's what I wanted to see. Just to see like what people were doing here music-wise. Obviously like music's important to me, but also my culture, and like I want to see how that's developing and everything, because I think there's some interesting stuff happening here musically that I would like to see, and not just the stuff that like I see online. But for now, I'm really tired. I've been walking a lot. I filled my brain with a lot of information with all these museums, and I'm going to go out tomorrow to fill my brain with even more information. So I think I'm going to need some adequate rest to do that. So I will see you all tomorrow, day 2 of Hanoi. Hello folks, welcome to Sunday. My itinerary kind of completely changed today. Like I had planned this part of the trip months ago, but looking at the itinerary today had me going like all across like the city. And one thing too is there's also some road closures today, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so today, this morning, the restaurant that I had planned to go to also, they were closed until 10. So I was like, okay, I can't do that. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. So that was annoying. I had to find a new place to go like eat. The first for sure thing that I knew I wanted to do at least was I wanted to head up to the Vietnamese Women's Museum. Obviously, like it talks about like different roles that like women have played in society across like Vietnamese history, but also like contemporarily. And there were like 3 sections. There was like a section on marriage, there was a section on motherhood, and then there was a section on the mother goddess, which is like a deity for the Vietnamese. And it definitely didn't go as in depth as like I would have liked it to. And I mean, even every contribution that you know, was talking about like being grateful for women, you know, it was sort of still in the weird like, because they take care of our children and they cook and all that, and it's just like, well, I don't know. But I will say there was like during the marriage section, it talked about like the different customs between all the different ethnic groups in Vietnam, which there's like 54, and it talked about how, you know, there's patriarchal ethnic groups and then there were matriarchal groups. That was pretty interesting. I didn't know that. So yeah, that was cool. But I hope that eventually they'll expand on it. You know, one thing too that like, you know, women were heavily involved in liberation of Vietnam from both the French and the US occupation. And so it's like kind of interesting that they didn't like highlight that more. Maybe like in another museum they do, but yeah, I mean, they have like when you walk in on the side, there are like glass panels, and it shows like a woman wearing an azai, and then like some other like female figures, and then on the left there's like a female like freedom fighter. That's like the only nod to women being involved in the revolution But anyways, it was still cool. And after that, I ended up going to this street called Hanoi Book Street. And there's a book street in Saigon that I planned on going to, and I was unaware until yesterday that there was one in Hanoi. So it was kind of a fun find, but it was very busy. You know, there are a lot of street vendors like there is like everywhere in Vietnam, but yeah, it was very cute. There were like a few cafes down that way, and all the bookstores were really cool. Fun thing that I like finding like books in the Vietnamese language, and so I did find a couple of them. I nabbed a couple manga. So after that, I needed to eat lunch, and instead of going to the place that I had planned, I just was like walking around, and then I found a place that looked really good. So I walked in, I sat down, and I had like a Japanese style tofu dish, and that was the best thing I've had since I got here, like food wise. And it's pretty stiff competition between that and my dinner that I had today, and I'll get to that in a minute. After eating lunch, I decided to go walk around Hoang Kiem Lake. Very pretty. It's pretty touristy. There were a lot of people there, and there were a lot of people there for other reasons, like local tourists as well. And one of the thing that I was referring to earlier, like the festival, it was like a festival. I was hearing this loud EDM music, and I didn't know why. I was like, why is this happening? I don't know why this is happening. And I finally came around to like the north side of the lake, and this is sort of like you know, a bigger touristy district. It's the Old Quarter area. So I went up there, and there was like, the roads were blocked off for like the celebration of the establishment of the Vietnamese police force. I didn't know that that was a thing. There were some like kiosks that you could like walk through and like learn about the police and how it was established after the Vietnam Wars and stuff. So it was kind of interesting. The music, pretty cool. There was like one artist that came out, and like a bunch of people started screaming. I've been trying to get tapped into the music scene in Vietnam, as I mentioned last night, and I didn't know who this was. I still don't know, but someone did have a flag of his face that says like, "Here is our king," and they were like waving it around, and I thought that was so funny. So I ended up leaving and walking around a little bit more, sort of visiting random shops and cafes. The store, Tired City, they're kind of like a souvenir shop, very modern. They have like artists on board, but it is like a little bit more on the expensive side as far as like souvenirs go, but I think they're worth it because they're really high quality. And I mean, the thing is with a lot of souvenir shops, and this just goes for anywhere, is that there's not heart put into the artwork. I think that this was like a really cool souvenir shop because there's a lot more care put into that stuff. There was also the propaganda poster store. There were two that I actually ended up coming across today. I got a poster, so that was cool, and then I came across the other, which is called Old Propaganda Posters, and they printed on like rice paper, so they're like kind of like clothy. So yeah, I nabbed a couple of those posters as well. The last big thing that I wanted to do, that was originally on my itinerary, was that I wanted to visit the Hanoi Ancient House, which is like this older house. I don't remember when it was built, but it's been preserved, and so people visit it. It's touristy as well, but you can visit it and sort of get like an idea of like what an old like Vietnamese house looked like. It was really cute. It was very nice. I couldn't take any videos of it. I wish I got videos because it was very cute, but yeah, after that I went to go get dinner. Stumbled upon this like other restaurant called like Countryside like Vietnamese or something like that. They had a really great menu, and I was getting like hungry. It was a little early. It was like 4:30, and so I was like, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and eat. So I sat down and I got some curry with tofu. That was delicious, man. It was so good. I can't make out like what all of the flavors were, but it was a really great like flavor combination. And I also got some coconut coffee with that as well, and that was really good. And then I took a grab back to my hotel, and now here I am, and I've like kind of packed away like my souvenirs and posters and stuff because it was a lot. It was a lot of stuff. So tonight, like I said yesterday, my original plan was that I was going to go to the jazz club tonight.
and I was trying to decide like what I wanted to do. I wanted to lay down for a little bit and rest my legs because I've walked like 15 miles between yesterday and today, and yeah, I'm tired. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I went on Facebook and I looked up events in Hanoi, and there is a place, there's like a concert. She's actually apparently played at the jazz club before, and so yeah, this has actually worked out kind of perfectly because this is like a continuation of yesterday. And so I don't know if I'm expecting like jazz. Honestly, by the artist profile, it kind of looks like it's supposed to be like sort of indie or something like that, but pretty cool. I couldn't find this anywhere else, so I'm going to head over there here in a minute and yeah, catch that show. So I will see you guys when I get there.
suy nghĩ chỉ viển vông. Có lẽ tôi chỉ là đang ngóng trông đừng đến bên tôi, đừng nói với tôi chúng ta về mai sau, mà đừng quên giây phút ngày môi rơi môi kề vai, xoay vòng xoay vòng xoay vòng xoay, anh và tôi cùng đang ngón tay, đâu là mơ và đâu là say, thương một ánh nhìn tan vào mây rồi xoay đều xoay đều xoay đều xoay, đây là hương ngọt hay vị cay, mơ màng thơ thẳn vai kề vai rồi chơi cùng nhau một khúc mơ, thì mình cứ coi như là đâu phải ai cũng dễ dàng được hát khúc ca, lời hát thư thả, and it goes like la 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 chết quay đi cho rồi, chết quay đi cho rồi, chết quay đi cho rồi, chết quay đi. Những điều tốt tươi âu yếm em, dù cho có ra sao, điều tôi mong, điều tôi trông, điều tôi thương, điều tôi ước ao. Thiên đường là thấy em hàng ngày.
Hello all, good morning. Last night was probably the coolest thing that's happened so far, and it's exactly the kind of thing that I wanted to see coming to Vietnam, and so yeah, I'm very, very happy. It was really interesting. I knew it was supposed to be like a really small venue, like intimate. Honestly, I thought it was going to be like a cafe or something, but it was literally like someone's like house. It was a house show. I went to a house show in Vietnam, which is like really cool, really underground, actually, like genuinely underground. It was really nice and intimate. The vibe was super cool. The music was great. And I got to talk to them afterwards. A lot of them were really young, like my age. And so they were able to like speak a good amount of English so we could communicate. And they were really shocked that a Viet Q would be in this house show and would know about it or anything. And I sort of explained to them that I just really love the alternative scene and wanted to see and check it out in Vietnam itself. And yeah, they were really nice and really cool. It was a really, really cool experience, really unique. And I am really glad that I sort of took the chance on sort of just this random event that I found on Facebook. And that's just something like I very rarely do like at home. And I think just being here has made me, it's like, oh, like I just want to try anything. But today is Monday, and this is my last day in Hanoi, and pretty much the only thing that I'm doing today is getting tattoos. 2 artists that I think are really cool that I found on Instagram, and I think that these will be really cool ways to commemorate the trip. I'm about to leave my hotel, and final rating, I give the hotel about like a 5 out of 10, you know? It was a room. I found it weird that there was like, one of the things that like I had to do was like put the card in for like the power. Never seen that before. Very interesting, but yeah, that's what I had to do. And I found that weird, and because of that, it was like kind of like the air wasn't like circulating in here, and so the air was a little stale. I was in here like very infrequently, other than just to sleep. You know, it gave me all the basic things I need, just a bed to sleep in a bathroom, you know, and that's the best I can ask for, really. So yeah, I'm pretty happy and satisfied with this hotel. I think when I come back though, I would maybe spend a little bit of extra money on something maybe a little bit nicer. Yeah, not too bad. It's kind of akin to what you would, you know, experience in like America, like renting like one of those roadside motels. I feel like, and in fact, probably a little bit better than that. But so that's sort of like the experience that I got. But that is what you're getting for the price, which I think I maybe spent $15 a night on it, which is pretty cheap. So, but with that being said, I do have a train that I'm supposed to get on later this evening. But anyways, yeah, I will catch you all later. I'm gonna go put that stuff in the locker, grab some stuff for the train, and then yeah, head over to get some tattoos. Eat breakfast also. I need to do that. But yeah. Hello, welcome to my next hotel in Da Nang.
This one's like a lot nicer than the other one, but albeit it was like a little bit more expensive, so that is why. So my last day in Hanoi was basically just a tattoo day. Both took longer than what I thought they would take, but oh my god, they feel so cool to have on. Very cool. Both of the people were super cool to talk to. They could both speak like a lot of English, so it was kind of easy to just like chat. Like I said, both took like a little bit longer than what I had expected. Almost late to my train, just almost. I got on there though, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes before they took off. So yeah, super lucky, but damn, that stressed me the hell out. So once I got on the train, it was a 17-hour affair. You know, people online make it sound like it's the most disgusting thing on the planet. It's really nasty, dirty, loud, and while it was loud and it wasn't like the cleanest thing in the world, it really wasn't that bad. It's more like if you spent 17 hours on like glorified New York Metro. Maybe not glorified, it's more like a normal New York Metro. And so, yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. So it really wasn't that bad. I slept super well, and honestly, the train noise kind of lulled me to sleep. But that's just my experience. I know like other people have like their different experiences with the train. But anyways, yeah, just finishing off like talking about Hanoi. Hanoi was such a gorgeous city. It's very interesting. It holds like so much history. You know, as an American, it's like the perspective that I have of like our history. I mean, we've been around for 400 years, and you know, that's a long time. But you know what's longer? Like 6,000. So yeah, there's a lot of history to be told about Vietnam, and of course, talking about contemporary history as well. There's just so much like nationalism, and it's like, you know, there's so much pride in being Vietnamese, and I personally feel like this trip has allowed me to, you know, finally connect what I feel like are severed ties to my culture and to my history. And okay, I'm re-recording that outro because I didn't like it. So yeah, I feel like I've reconnected to you know, my ancestors. Like my ancestors were saying like, hey, like this is where you're from. And yeah, I in addition to that, just on like a grander scheme, not just like personally, you know, like being connected and feeling like that sense of pride and nationalism and like dedication to liberation and resistance, and very, very inspired by Ho Chi Minh and the Vietnamese for taking on that battle before me, and I am very proud to be part of that lineage. And that's sort of what the experience in Hanoi was like. And now I'm going to be spending the next leg of this trip doing some more, you know, personal reconnection to Vietnam, as I am meeting my birth family. I am about to leave. I'm about to explore the city. This is my one day here. The next few days will be occupied by traveling up and down through Tam Kỳ and Lang Dong and Dalat. And because of that, and through that, I will be meeting my birth family. And because of that, I probably will not be talking too much. So you'll probably just hear some nice little jazz music or lo-fi or whatever the hell I choose. Obviously, since it's so personal, since it's like there's gonna be so much going on, I hope you can understand why it's not gonna be like Hanoi, where I'm like talking every 5 clips. So anyways, yeah, so I'm off. I'm going to explore Da Nang. guys, it is Wednesday, March 12th, and I am in Tam Kỳ right now, which is south of Da Nang, and I'm visiting the village that I was born in. we're about to drive west inland, we needed to find a hotel, so we found like literally anything, and there just happened to be in Tam Kỳ a hotel called Hotel Punita. Hotel Punita, and it is very bizarre. It is definitely a love motel. Like, look at this shit. And then there's the cup chair, amazing little cup chair. But like the room like pictures were all like sultry and sexy, and I suppose this is a place where people come to have lots of sex. But also the other thing that I find interesting is that this is the shower. I guess you could watch your sexy wife or husband shower if you're not showering with them. I don't know. Or watch them take a shit. I don't know. But there's this. And then like this door like doubles, this is interesting, doubles as the door for like the bathroom as a whole, as well as the shower door, which is really interesting as well. But yeah, this is also really nice, and it is just so fucking random. But I do have a mini bar, so that's epic. Yeah, this is very strange. So but anyways, I've got to go. I've got to get a little bit ready. I am about to go to the village to meet my family and visit the village that I would have grown up in if I wasn't adopted. So yeah, let's go do that.
ba tầng cậu mẹ gánh con trên vai gầy, giờ đây lớn khôn con dang rộng cánh tay xưa trời là băng cũng không xa, biển rộng đất trời chỉ có ta, biển rộng như ngày xưa tháng hai em về lại cho gió mùa xuân gió hàng cầu anh cùng tôi bứng nhỏ áo quần nhăn dắt đi tìm thiên sáo nữa, ôi bây giờ anh còn nhớ với hàng xưa tháng năm anh gửi lại cho
So I spent a few days with my birth family. We made a couple day trips to Hoi An and Dalat. Also spent just a lot of time together, like hanging out and eating, and it was a really wonderful time. I met a lot of family members, a lot of aunts and cousins and nieces and nephews, and I've eaten a lot of really good food, a lot of food that you don't usually hear about in the States, just because they are sort of specialty to the Gwangnam, like the central region, and so that was really nice. Overall, it was really nice, and I really enjoyed getting to meet my birth family and talk to them and try to make up for lost time. And no amount of time really can make up for 24 years that I've missed out with them. You know, it's hard to condense 24 years of lost connection into 6 days, but I think we made a really good attempt, and we had a really good time. I definitely will be back to continue eating and talking with them and making new memories, despite the years that we've lost. And I'm really looking forward to when I get to do that again. So now I'm in my hotel in Saigon, and when I got here I couldn't check in quite yet, so I went around and I went to go eat lunch. I was very hungry. I had my first bowl of pho, which was really good, predictably. Then the next thing on the agenda was I was going to go to the Ho Chi Minh City Museum, like the Dragon Wharf Museum, but it was closed. It's closed from like 11 to 1:30, I guess, for their siesta. Whatever it was, I was like, okay, well shoot, I have to like kind of figure out what I want to do now. So I ended up going to the Fine Arts Museum, which was the next thing on the agenda. And that was really cool. There were some really cool pieces there. There were a couple like special exhibition stuff that was really neat and really moving. But overall, like, it was kind of underwhelming, to be honest. There were a couple pieces that I really wanted to see, for sure. I say a couple. There was one really cool piece that I wanted to see. That was a piece by Chi, and he had studied at the Indochina School of Fine Arts during the French colonial period, and he specialized in lacquer paintings. And they have one of the lacquer paintings at the museum, and it is just absolutely gorgeous, and it's stunning and emotional to see it in real life. But other than that, yeah, there were like 3 buildings with the stuff, and it was pretty cool, but I think I prefer there was the Fine Arts Museum in Hanoi, and I think I preferred that one other than the special exhibition and the Chi lacquer painting. After that, I didn't really know what to do. I walked around. I went to the Dansen Market, which is like, it's got like a lot of like Vietnam War era stuff. A lot of it is probably replicas, but it's cool, like, nonetheless. But I went there and I walked around for a bit. I got a couple pins and whatnot, but it was okay. It wasn't as cool as I was hoping it would be, to be honest. But yeah, I was able to check into my hotel, and I wanted to do that just so I could get it over with. So I came back to the hotel, and it's actually probably the nicest hotel that I've stayed at so far. This is the room, it's real nice, and it's not the Punita hotel, but it's a good hotel. Not a wet bathroom, which is great. It was so nice that I laid down for a couple hours unexpectedly. I am very tired. I'm predictably tired, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally, and socially, and so yeah, I'm very tired, and honestly, I think I'm gonna go eat dinner here in a bit, and then kind of see where I'm at, but I think I might end up just calling it a night early, taking a shower and just resting up. I'm very tired, and I think I might need to just like push the things that I want to do into tomorrow. And honestly, most of the things that I wanted to do anyways are tomorrow and the last day. in Vietnam. So I'm kind of fine with kind of going off the beaten path with my itinerary a little bit, to sort of just rest because yeah, I need it. So anyways, I am going to go get dinner, and I'll see you guys there. I ended up going to dinner, and where dinner was around Boy Vian Street, which is sort of like this Broadway, like Nashville Broadway-esque district. It's got a lot of bars and restaurants and stuff like that. It's very touristy. There's a lot of people there. Again, it's sort of like, it just reminded me of Nashville Broadway. But it was funny because instead of like country music, it was like a bunch of Vina House music. And yeah, that was very interesting. After I had dinner, I walked around for a little bit, tried to find anything that caught my eye. One of the things I'm on the lookout for is a pho cocktail, which is a cocktail that uses like the spices of pho to make the cocktail. And so I was like looking around for that. I kept on looking at menus, and there's a lot of places, and I kind of got overwhelmed and overstimulated. And of course, there are like servers like standing outside of each restaurant being like, hey, like, do you want to like sit down and like get anything? And I'm like, oh, no. Like, I'm just looking. And then they just like stand there because they really want you to sit down, obviously. So that was a bit overstimulating, but eventually I decided to just stick with the plan that I had tonight and go to a bar called the Acoustic Bar. There are a couple of different ones in Ho Chi Minh City, and they actually had an all-star night where different artists that have played at all 6 of their locations like convene at this one location to sort of do like duos with each other and stuff. It was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. It was like kind of typical like Vietnamese like jazz pop music, and that stuff it's good technically, but it gets boring after a while. But I will say live it was way better. But I had a couple cocktails there. They were not pho cocktails, but I did have a dragon fruit cocktail and some sort of like lemon cocktail as well. Both very good. It was a pretty fun evening. I almost did not go out. Like I said earlier, I woke up from like a nap, but I'm glad I went out because it was nice. It was nice and cozy. I had a good time just sitting there. But now, again, I am still tired, so I am going to take a shower and try to get some rest for tomorrow so I can try to stay on my itinerary tomorrow. So I'll see you guys then.
Gọi mà đến cho ta lãng quên về con trời, và thời gian như đang lãng quên cả dòng người, những ngày tao quá trên vai. Chỉ là xuân băng lá mây đêm đêm đâu. Suy tư bao nhiêu cho mình đó yêu ngu ngơ mình thôi, và yêu không có tâm ngày trôi, yêu thật như bao bờ môi, yêu đâu không phải thôi. Trong trái tim anh còn là yêu cái phút ban đầu, tình cờ mình quen nhau. Yêu em nhất trên đời, và chỉ mình em.
So I did not stay on my itinerary, but that's okay. I got to pretty much everything that I wanted to get to today. Save like a couple of things, but I'm gonna just like do those tomorrow because today is like a pretty open day on my itinerary. After breakfast, I took a walk to the new metro that has been installed in Ho Chi Minh City. The metro only has one line currently, and it runs from District 1 to the outskirts of Saigon. And I only took it for like one stop from the Ben 10 market, which is the very beginning of the metro, to the Opera House station, which is just the second. Really, I just wanted to see what it was like. It just opened up in December, so at least when I went, the kiosks were not working. So you couldn't like purchase a ticket like through the kiosk. You had to go to like the counter, and you couldn't buy like a day pass or like load up a card or something with money onto it. You had to just like purchase like one ticket. I thought that was very strange, and it took a while. But other than that, like it was like nice, like it was clean, and I think once they get the ball rolling on it with like the kiosks and just more lines and stuff like that, it will actually be really valuable for getting around the city. But for now, it's kind of just like a thing you do if you're not pressed for time, in my opinion. But once I went to the Opera House station, I took a look at the Ho Chi Minh statue, and then I went to the Ho Chi Minh City Museum, which did have like quite a few things. It was like a maze, but it was like in this French colonial style building, which I believe was obviously like expropriated from the French. And that's kind of the case for like a lot of things in Vietnam, is that like, you know, just expropriated by the French to use as like a public facility, I guess, which again, I think that's pretty cool. The City Museum did talk about like just the different cities in the big cities, Hanoi, Saigon, and it didn't touch on Da Nang, but it did touch on, I believe, Hue, and then it also had some like archaeological stuff. It was really interesting. At first I didn't think that there was much like going on in the museum, and then it just like kept going. So that was pretty cool.
So after this, I neglected to mention that I went to the Independence Palace, which honestly is not that far away from the Ho Chi Minh City Museum, which is probably why I kind of forgot to mention it. Probably because I considered them kind of like the same museum, which they're not, they're completely different. But the Independence Palace was the government building for the Republic of Vietnam, which was the name of the South Vietnamese government. And it was also the final battleground of the Vietnam War. It was the last site that the North Vietnamese took. It was kind of like where they would win the war. It talks about the South Vietnamese government, and it also talks about how there were North Vietnamese spies in the government. Yeah, it was really cool. I wish I had talked about it at the time, but for some odd reason I forgot. So anyways, back to me.
After that, originally the plan was to go to the War Remnants Museum, but because that like museum had taken so long, the museum took like a couple hours. I had originally only planned for it to be like an hour maybe, because that's what TripAdvisor had said, but I would, if you do end up going to that museum, I would allocate like a little bit more time. I went on a short walk to the Ho Chi Minh Book Street, pretty much like the Hanoi Book Street, but in Saigon. So it had like, you know, a bunch of bookstores, like Vietnamese translated stuff and all of that. Yeah, I didn't really get much in the way of books. I kind of already got some of those things when I was in Hanoi, but I did get like a couple like pins and stuff. And then I went to the Saigon post office, which honestly I did think that there was going to be more too. I thought there was going to be like you know, like a museum-esque part of it. Like I didn't think it was going to be like robust, because it is like, it still acts as like an actual post office, but I thought it was also going to have like some maybe like history of the post office, and it's very obvious like French colonial roots, but it ended up just being like, you know, a post office, and then it had like a couple souvenir shops, which I got a couple of things from as well. But yeah, after that, I was hungry. I was really hungry. So I went to go eat. Lunch was really good, and I didn't realize how hungry I was until I started chowing down really quickly on whatever I was eating. I was like, oh my god, I did not eat enough for breakfast. After lunch was the War Remnants Museum, which was probably better that I saved it for the afternoon instead of the morning, because it was extremely heavy. But the War Remnants Museum is primarily dedicated to exploring the ways in which the US government was involved in Vietnam, and that's pretty well documented. The extent of the brutality of US involvement in Vietnam, I'm not sure is like really understood on the American perspective. We learn there was like a GI war resistance to some degree, that there was some excesses, and that there were like Agent Orange, and it was a pretty brutal war. But to actually know it to the extent that the War Remnants Museum shows it is not common among the American people. And I do think that if you are an American or a French person, it is 100% necessary to go to the War Remnants Museum if you visit Vietnam, just because it shows so much of the brutality Americans inflicted upon the Vietnamese people. If not inflicted themselves, then aided, whether it was the South Vietnamese government or the French. It left me like speechless. I'm pretty aware of some of the things that Americans inflicted upon the Vietnamese people, but it never ceases to surprise me, like all the new stories that I learn from the Vietnam War. Yeah, the War Remnants Museum really illuminates a lot of that, and really sobering stuff. As an American, it is frustrating to know that, like, you know, the government that you're under was and still is capable and guilty of doing such brutal, terrible things. It makes you think definitely about current events, things that are happening in Palestine, for example, and how similar the brutality is, and that the United States has never really changed. I think also, like, the War Remnants Museum definitely like hits like in a different way. After having like traveled the Vietnamese countryside, you know, there are these beautiful mountains and beautiful landscapes, and then you just see like on one of these mountains like a patch that just hasn't grown back, and you're aware that it was Agent Orange, that it was part of the Scorched Earth, it was part of the Ranch Hand campaign by the United States government. It's frustrating, you know, that the effects are still seen today. It is amazing what has grown back after being like replanted by the government and stuff like that. But it is really depressing to see that there are some places that just either won't grow back or are going to take a long time to grow back. And that has nothing to even say about the people who were affected by Agent Orange. Just from personal experience, like knowing my family's history as well, I have Agent Orange in my blood. I grew up having like growth hormone issues. I am almost certain that that's where it comes from. And so not only does it directly affect me to this day and will probably affect my children in some ways, but it is also still affecting like millions of people in Vietnam and the United States, you know, probably elsewhere as well. Again, that's not even to talk about
all the landmines that are left in these beautiful lush forests. There are places that you can't go and like explore because you might set off a landmine left by the United States government. I think reading about the war and seeing all those photos in the War Remnants Museum definitely take on a whole new light when you've seen it with your own two eyes, exploring Vietnam itself, and puts things into perspective and is very sobering. After that, there was one more museum that I wanted to go to, but I think I'm just gonna save that for tomorrow. I ended up getting a massage. I know that when I go back to the States, a massage is gonna cost me like $120. So I was like, you know what, like I might as well just get one here for like 20. And oh my God, it was great. Feel like super relaxed and like a lot of the tension is out. My only complaint is that I didn't request a longer massage, but it was really nice. So I'd like to get another one. Now I'm hungry and I am going to go eat. And then after that, right next door is a place that I know has a pho cocktail. So I am going to try that and let you all know how it is. Yeah, I'm gonna go grab my stuff and then I'm going to head to dinner. Okay folks, I am at a place called Plant-Based. And this is a Quang Nam dish. It's a noodle dish. Now that I've had like actual Quang Nam noodles, I'm gonna see how this compares to that. It already looks a little different. Okay, other thing. I got a steamed bun. Oh, that's hot. Okay, now I got the steamed bun. Like a cabbage steamed bun. But it looks like pork. Hey, that's pretty good. It's better than this. I'd have like 6 of these. Good. Maybe I'll grab those for breakfast or something. Now onto the pho cocktail. This is my third bar. Unsuccessful on the pho cocktail. The first one only took reservations, which is insane. The second one discontinued it. The third one also discontinued it. So I think I'm just gonna go see some live music because I'm sick of looking. It's my last day. And still no pho cocktail. It's the only reason I came out here. What the fuck? What the fuck? Okay, so I'm dressed now and not complaining about a pho cocktail. I missed my chance, but you know what? It is what it is. I'll be back. I cannot believe it's my last day. You know, if I'm honest, I am like looking forward to getting home. I do miss my bed. I miss my cats. I miss my like friends and family, obviously. And I miss my routine and I'm excited to get back into it. But at the same time, obviously, like I am
like sad I'm gonna be leaving. Like, you know, I've had such a great time. I don't really want it to end, but I know it needs to, and I am looking forward to being back home as well. I am going to be doing a few things that I missed and try to get some last minute foods in before I don't get to have this food for a while. But I'm also in no rush. I think one thing about taking a trip like this, and advice that I've received from like friends who've made big trips like this, is like, you'll be back. There's no rush to do literally everything. And of course, I have more of a reason to come back to this country than, you know, someone who is just like touring the country. Anyways, I'm gonna grab some liquid IV because I had a couple drinks last night, obviously, and so I am dehydrated. And then I'm going to go get some food and like just enjoy my my last day here. I just got off the metro, and you know, not that bad if you're going several stops. Like yesterday when I just like went from one stop to the next, it was kind of like I might as well have just walked. Today was a lot better. I think it would have taken about the same amount of time as like driving, about 15 minutes from where I was to where I wanted to go. It takes about 20 like driving, so or supposedly that's what the map says. It actually probably takes longer because of the traffic and everything. So I don't know, I think it'll definitely be better as time goes on, like once they like develop certain things and you know, get more lines in, like it'll definitely be like way cooler. But you know, it wasn't too bad. It's also really clean right now because it's brand new, so we'll see how long that lasts. Secure. Okay, folks, I just got out of the shower and now I'm packing stuff because I've got to check out of this hotel. And I just wanted to talk about my experience in Saigon. I didn't do all of the things that I kind of expected that I would do in Saigon. The most important part of the trip was spending time with like my birth family, and so I ended up spending more time like with them. But there are like some touristy things and just some things I wanted to do in Saigon that just aren't possible. Like for example, there's the Chi tunnels. They're about an hour outside of the city, but they were the tunnels that the Viet Cong used during the Vietnam War. It just wasn't in the cards. I've already spent like so much time like in cars and on trains and on planes that I'm not gonna spend another hour like to drive outside of the city. And again, like I said this morning as well, yes, are there things I wanna see? Absolutely, but it's not urgent, you know? I'll be back. Trying to rush everything in as well will diminish the actual experience as well. So there's no point in doing that to myself. But that's not to say that Saigon hasn't been fulfilling. It has been really fun. And I think, you know, in stark contrast to both Hanoi and Central Vietnam, it is heavily modernized. I mean, even the fact that they finished their railway system, for example, or at least like one line of it, is a pretty good example of how like modernized they are. But on the opposite end, it's like, yes, it's modernized, but it's also pretty hyper-capitalist. It's like becoming that. You know, to what extent is it too much? You don't want to become like South Korea, right? Where it's like you live in a cyberpunk hellscape, right? I think it's a little more westernized, and so it's a nice way to ease me back into like Western things, like having like the sandwich that I had at the Cashew Deli earlier, you know, that was like more Western food. Just being in Saigon, where it's like a little more Western than the rest of the country, especially after spending like a week pretty much in rural Vietnam. It's been nice. It's easing me back in so I can go home without a reverse culture shock. I am sad. I am very sad to go. I was thinking about it while I was taking a shower. I was like, damn, like this is the end. This is the end of the trip. I don't really want to go home. I want to go home, but I don't, you know? But I've had such a good time here. It's been such a wonderful and insane experience that I don't even really know like how to verbalize it totally. I'm making a vlog, so I kind of have to, but it's been so wonderful to connect to my cultural roots, to learn what my country's like, to learn what kind of country I would have been born into, and the culture and pride that exists in being Vietnamese. And then on top of that, like obviously I've gotten to connect intimately with that through my birth family. That has given me such a unique experience being in Vietnam. It truly is like a life-changing trip, you know, and it's not going to be the same the next time. It'll still be fun, I'm sure, you know, but it's not going to be like this trip. And I am very happy that I was able to document it, that I was able to share it and share my experience and also my story. I hope that, you know, maybe next year I could make a Vietnam vlog number 2 and just talk about all the different things that I'm gonna do, and who knows, I would love for this to be like a regular thing, obviously because I have family here, but also because I really do love this country, and I hope to be back sooner rather than later. So anyways, I'm still packing, but I'm gonna finish packing. I don't have much time left before I need to check out. I'm gonna check out and then probably leave my bags here and then try to grab like some coffee or something and then head to the airport. It's been crazy, but like I said this morning, I miss my cats and I miss my bed. I miss my friends and my family. I'm ready to go home. So let's do that. So it's November, 8 months after I got home from Vietnam, and I just now finished editing the vlog. And I was trying to figure out why it took me so long. It really shouldn't have taken me this long, right? And I think the reason is what I'm doing right now, the conclusion. I wanted a conclusion that showed that I had completely processed what it was like reconnecting with my culture and country and reconnecting with my birth family. I wanted something that showed that I had complete thoughts on all of that. And the truth is that I don't. I didn't then, and I don't now. And I don't think I really will until much, much later. I think it's kind of ridiculous to think that I could have processed such a monumental trip in such a short amount of time, and that it was also something that I needed to be able to even put out this vlog that really is of inconsequential importance. And that's on me. That's a lot of pressure that I put on myself for no reason. And it does go bigger than the vlog, right? You know, trying to process what this trip meant to me and what meeting my birth family meant to me is something that I'm still like processing. But I can tell you like how I feel. Even now, 8 months later, I still think of this trip all the time. Every time I have to spend $15 on a banh mi here or $25 on a bowl of pho, I think, oh my God, I miss Vietnam. And also every time You know, my family texts me, you know, I'm like, oh my God, I miss Vietnam. And there's so much history and stuff to learn, and I've only barely scratched the surface. But you can't experience the first time for the first time again, you know what I mean? The first trip will always be the first trip. And my first trip was like no other. Anybody who knows me in my personal life knows that I very rarely take risk. I am very planned. I am not spontaneous in any sense. And so to go across the world, albeit planned, alone, for the most part, is pretty insane. And even the act of reaching out to someone to help me look for my birth family was a risk that I was taking. A risk that I could be disappointed, a risk my family might not be like what I thought they would be like, right? This was all a risk, but I am really glad that I took that risk at all. I have come home a much, I think, stronger person. And my girlfriend aptly gave this vlog title, Ego Death in Vietnam. I think it's true. I died and was reborn again in Vietnam. I'm slowly pulling back the layers of what that means. And I don't have a definitive answer today, but I am completely changed by reconnecting with Vietnam and reconnecting with my family. And still, there's so much to learn, and I want to continue doing that. For sure, I will return. I will be able to better speak the language. I'll better understand its history. I'll better understand my family. More and more, it won't feel like I had lost anything at all. I also hope that this vlog has served as inspiration for other adoptees who are looking to reconnect with their country and its culture or their family. Like I said, I am not much of a risk taker, but I'm really glad that I put one foot out the door and went through with this entire experience. And I hope that I can inspire you to do the same. But with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Not only was the trip itself pretty emotional, but to edit this and relive it was also pretty emotional as well. And I think I've done a pretty good job of expressing what I was going through emotionally throughout the trip, specifically with the song choices. I have put in the description a list of all the songs that I have played in order of appearance. Please go check out those artists. They are incredible. There's a reason why I'm using them in my videos, and I use them pretty consistently, and so it would be good for you to check them out. In addition, I have put a list of everything that I did on my trip in the description below. There were some things that I either didn't capture or was unsure of. Specifically comes in the central region. There were some places that I went to eat that were like kind of in the countryside, and also I don't want anyone else knowing about them. I don't care, I'm gatekeeping. But in the meantime, now that I have this vlog out of the way, I can get back to editing some other videos. I don't think that any vlog or video is going to match the caliber of this one. And so I might as well not post at all. But in the case that I do, I hope you all will join me. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.